these things are coming out. This is the glorious beauty that's a fading flower. These things are soon about to be cut off. They're fading. We know they exist. Very many prominent people. A lot of your first of everything is in the first judges, the first mayor, first black mayor of so and so city, or first black governor. A lot of these people are coming out of the Negro Indian Masonic people or Freemasons who have joined themselves with America. You should see Thurgood Marshall, Don King, Shaquille O'Neal, Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson. Got Army generals, Nat King Cole even. There's so many of them. As I make a reference back to the Eric Bowman breakdown of the Black Boule Exposed that I had shared his videos, he gives the names. He gives many names of people that have had positions in government and civil rights movements because they're overcome with wine. They're overcome with that Babylon cup and fruitful. They've waxed rich also through the abundance of her delicacies. And his glory, their glorious beauty is a fading flower. They're falling just like Babylon's about to fall. So they're falling with it. These are the drunkards of Ephraim, the blinded of the northern kingdom. So I want to go further. I want to go further here in Isaiah 28:2, where it says, okay, I'll start back here in verse 1. It says, woe to the crown of pride, to the drunkards of Ephraim, whose glorious beauty is a fading flower, which are on the head of the fat valleys of them that are overcome with wine. Behold, the Most High hath a mighty and strong one, which as a tempest of hail and a destroying storm, as a flood of mighty waters overflowing, shall cast down to the earth with their hand. So the Most High, this is basically judgment. Mighty waters overflowing. A few of these scriptures that I'm going to go into is definitely going to make references to this. This is judgment. Mighty waters overflowing has been a parabolic meaning for the judgment of the Most High. He's coming with judgment. He has a mighty and strong one, which is his son. His son is going to return as a force, and he's going to throw these things down. It says, shall cast down to the earth with the hand. Verse number 3, it says, the crown of pride, the drunkards of Ephraim, shall be trodden under feet. So just as he is going to trodden down all nations of people and all kingdoms under his feet, these as well, these black Boule secret societies. This is here the Boule, the Black Skull and Bones. The Boule is a black elite secret society that runs black neighborhoods in accordance to the CIA's plans. So black being elite, that's definitely fat and fruitful. Overcome with wine. This is them who are overcome with wine. It's drunken. It takes a drunkenness. It takes a blindness, as I've said before, to join yourself with Babylon, knowing that the Most High is going to render a recompense unto Babylon. So it takes a blindness. This is an old school pictures. You see, this isn't nothing new. These things have been around for about 100 years now, at least. These Black Boule are running our neighborhoods. They're running our society, our community, our culture. Well, not our culture, but the American Negro culture, the so-called African American culture. They're your stylists, or those bring your fashion designers and your black everything, movie directors. They've completely confederated themselves with Babylon, and they're all a part of this little club of elites because they're fruitful, they're fat in the valley, and knowing the fact that the Negroes are under the curses of Deuteronomy 28:15 through 68, for them to be fruitful 9 times out of 10 is because they're not part of those curses. It's because they were cut off from being a people, which they never suffered Deuteronomy 28:15 through 68. So I want to go further here. In Isaiah 28:3, it says, the crown of pride, the drunkards of Ephraim, shall be trodden under feet. And the glorious beauty which is on the head of the fat valley shall be a fading flower. And as the hasty fruit before the summer, which when he that looketh upon it seeth, while it is yet in his hand, he eateth it up. So they're a fading flower. And it says here, and as the hasty fruit before the summer. Sour, they might have bitten of a sour fruit that's not yet ripened, too early. It says here, which when he that looketh upon it seeth while it is yet in his hand, he eateth it up. This is definitely they've become fruitful in America because they've joined themselves with the American cause. Definitely a fruitful man. LeBron James, worth like $500 million. Jay-Z, definitely fruitful and fat in the valley. But this is the fading flower. This is the blinded of the northern kingdom. The drunkards of Ephraim shall be trodden under feet. Okay, so this is verse number 5 of Isaiah 28. It says, in that day shall the Most High of Hosts be for a crown of glory and for a diadem of beauty unto the residue of his people. So while their crown has been a crown of pride, and their glorious beauty is a fading flower, the Most High is going to be for a crown of glory and for a diadem of beauty unto a remnant of our people. A small portion of our people, he is going to be our crown. There's been a crown of pride during this Babylon Empire. Babylon, there's a Roman Empire part 2. The Most High is going to be for a crown to a remnant of his people. And verse 6, and for a spirit of judgment to him that sitteth in judgment, and for strength to them that turn the battle to the gate. So who's sitting in judgment are these societies that are ruling over our neighborhoods, perverting judgment. Also in our Hebrew Israelite awakening, you have the heads of the people. Now these boulets and these secret societies, they've set up Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks. So it would take a blindness to think that they couldn't possibly set up your Hebrew Israelite teachers and your leaders, because they have. They have set up your leaders. They have set up the teachers here in the so-called Hebrew Israelite awakening. I say so-called because many of these people are still blinded. Not still in the matrix. They still believing that a lot of these people that they're calling good aren't evil, not understanding that they're not fully teaching the real truth. They're not going into a lot of what's going on with this Dan tribe in America. This was a treaty with the Choctaws. I want to note that Albert Pike was their envoy or the representative. It says here, the treaty with Choctaws and Chickasaws was a treaty signed on July 12, 1861 between the Choctaw and Chickasaws and the Confederate States of America. At the beginning of the American Civil War, Albert Pike was appointed as Confederate envoy to Native Americans, to these Negro Indians. Choctaws and Chickasaws are Negro. They're black. They look just like Judah, just like Benjamin and Levi, but they're indigenous to America. They were here with the 10 tribes that came during the time after the Babylon Empire. They came to Babylon, the first Babylon Empire, and Second Esdras, where it speaks of the 10 tribes. This is definitely a Danite tribe among the 10. The Dan tribe is among the 10 that came to Arsaret, that came to America. So as their envoy or their representative was a known Scottish Rite Freemason. So he was definitely a Freemason that was their representative. So in our day, it's nothing for these Negroes now. They've started their own assemblies. They've started their own Freemasonic temples with Negroes that are Negro Indians, because they know that they've been allies with the Confederate States as well as with the American government. Okay, so it says, and for a spirit of judgment to him that sitteth in judgment. So as the Most High is going to be for a crown of glory, for a residue of our people, he's going to also be for a spirit of judgment to him that sitteth in judgment. As I have just read here, as mighty waters overflowing, as a flood of mighty waters overflowing. He's going to be for a spirit of judgment to him that sitteth in judgment. And it says, and for strength to them that turn the battle to the gate. So that's exactly what I've been doing in my videos, is turning the battle to the people. The battle to the gate is warning the people. I even did a video called Judah blowing the trumpet on Dan. That's battle talk. That's war talk. Telling you that we have a nation of people in this spiritual battle. At one point it was a physical battle that were against us. In the spiritual battle, in the Hebrew Israelite awakening today, you got Negro Indians that are portraying to be the slave trade Negro, working with the government, not fully teaching you the whole truth, setting up traps for the people. I want to go into this battle word, to the battle, turning the battle to the gate. I want to go here to Ezekiel 13. I'll start here in verse number verse number 3. Ezekiel 13:3, it says, Thus saith the Most High Power, woe unto the foolish prophets that follow their own spirit and have seen nothing. So as I read also from Isaiah 29, that the Most High hath poured out upon you the spirit of deep sleep, and hath closed your eyes. The prophets and your rulers, the seers hath he covered. So there's a lot of prophets that have been blinded. These false prophets have been blinded from the real truth, coming out of an entire nation of people. It says, Thus saith the Most High Power, woe unto the foolish prophets that follow their own spirit and have seen nothing. They've seen nothing because the Most High blinded them, an entire nation of people. Verse 4 says, O Israel, thy prophets are like the foxes in the desert. Foxes meaning they spoil the people, they spoil the vine, as well as they come out of their holes to spoil the vine. Foxes, you can precept with the Son of the Most High in the New Testament saying the foxes have holes. But the Son of the Most High had no place to rest his head. The Messiah didn't have a place to rest his head. He said even the foxes in the desert have holes. So this is the foxes. If you want to also, you can go into certain precepts. I found this Blue Letter Bible to be very convenient. Right here, Psalm 63 and 10, Song of Solomon, right here, 2 and 15. It says, Take us the foxes, the little foxes that spoil the vines, for our vines have tender grapes. So it's definitely, and also they burrow themselves in holes. So this is a parabolic meaning. It's not saying that they're foxes, they're like the foxes. Here, Ezekiel 13:4 says, O Israel, thy prophets are like the foxes in the deserts. They spoil the people. Verse number 5, Ye have not gone up into the gaps, neither made up the hedge for the house of Israel to stand in the battle in the day of the Most High. So as I said, he's going to be for a spirit of judgment to those sitting in judgment, and for strength to them that turn the battle to the gate. Ezekiel talks about these foolish prophets that are like the foxes in the deserts, that have not gone into the gap, neither made up the hedge for the house of Israel to stand in the battle in the day of the Most High. So part of this spiritual battle is understanding the fact that you have some people ahead, in the heads of the people, prophets teaching the so-called truth today in Israel. They have not gone into the gaps. And this is speaking about end times, because it's talking about to stand in the battle in the day of the Most High. This hasn't even happened yet. So they're not going into the gaps. They're teaching you a slack law, teaching you secret sins that you have no knowledge of, because we're all supposed to be coming into this thing awakening out of sleep. But there's a nation of people among us who haven't slept. They haven't slept that valley of dry bones sleep and been completely cut off from a nation, or suffer them Deuteronomy 28:15-68 curses. So they're slick. They think they're sly like these foxes in the deserts. But that also is part of this battle. They haven't gone into the gaps. This is war talk. You're not going up into the gaps. It's talking about they haven't been covering all areas for protection. Neither made up the hedge for the house of Israel to stand in the battle in the day of the Most High. Verse number 6 says, They have seen vanity and lying divination, saying, The Most High saith, and the Most High hath not sent them. And they made others to hope that they would confirm the word. So they got other people trusting in these lying divinations. Have ye not seen a vain vision? Have ye not seen a vain vision? And have ye not spoken a lying divination? Whereas ye say, The Most High saith, albeit I have not spoken. Therefore thus saith the Most High Power, because ye have spoken vanity and seen lies. Therefore, behold, I am against you, saith the Most High Power. That's also those sitting in judgment, who's going to be for a spirit of judgment unto these people that are seeing lies. Verse number 9, And my hand shall be upon the prophets that see vanity and that divine lies. They shall not be in the assembly of my people. Neither shall they be written in the writing of the house of Israel. Neither shall they enter into the land of Israel. And ye shall know that I am the Most High Power. So this right here, that's pretty plain and simple, that they're not going to be in the assembly of the people. But here, I am against you, saith the Most High, and my hand shall be upon the prophets that see vanity and divine lies. That right there should make somebody turn from their foolishness. It should make these foolish prophets turn from that, because they're doing it intentionally. It's not something that a lot of them know that they're not going into the gaps. Just like I broke down IUIC's witchcraft and sorcery. They're not doing that unknowingly. They're not unknowingly doing witchcraft and teaching you a crooked path. They're doing these things knowledgeably. They're not